The question says, I'm beginning my self-improvement journey and I learned that I need to figure out my core values. The problem is every time I come with a list, it keeps changing over time. How can I narrow them down accurately so that they don't keep changing?
So this is something I wrestle with on a daily basis. And I used to wrestle with in the past, and it was like I was just shooting in the dark. I was completely lost with no guidance, but I was trying to figure out my values. I didn't know what I was trying to do. But in retrospect, that's what I was trying to do. So why are values important? Values are like a lighthouse. They help us get where we want to get in the most efficient and effective way. Without the lighthouse, we would get lost. We would lose our destination. So what are values and how do you find them? The way to figure out your own values is through a series of questions. One of my mentors walked me through a series of questions, and it was list 4 people that you admire. They can be celebrities, they can be teachers, they can be your parents, they can be your friends. After you make that list 4 qualities that you admire in each of them. These are the potential qualities that you value most in life. But it doesn't stop there. List 4 movies that you love, movies that you can watch 200 times in a row and you wouldn't get bored. And then for each movie, list 4 things that you love about it. And these 4 things you list are some of the qualities that are likely to be your highest values. And then you don't have to stop there. You can ask yourself, what qualities that you love about the way your parents raised you? List those. And then what qualities you hate about the way your parents raised you? Your list is getting bigger and bigger. And then you can ask yourself, what qualities do I hate in people in general? And what qualities do I love in people in general? So now you have a huge list of words: honesty, integrity, courage, bravery, kindness, hardworking, discipline. You have all these words. So then you're going to start to narrow them down. And you can do that by asking yourself, which words speak to you most? Which words, when you glance over them, it lights you up. It fills you up with energy, with electricity. And these are likely to take priority on the list. And everything else you can just cross out. So you're narrowing down your list. So the question here has the problem is every time I come up with a list, it keeps changing over time. How can I narrow them down accurately so they don't keep changing? Well, as humans, we are very complex and we have a very complex and varying journeys. And our journey keeps changing and our environment changes. So the nuances in our values change a little bit, but they don't change in essence. And I'll speak what is the essence of them. So the essence of them is 4 categories. And they are king, warrior, magician, lover. But in these 4 categories, they can change a little bit. Today, I'm feeling it's hard work in the warrior. Tomorrow, I'm feeling it's more like discipline and courage in the warrior. It's in the same category, but it's different a little bit. And it's very hard to put it in concrete. Some people can do that. I have mentors who have their values unchangeable. The words don't change. I feel that every day my words change a little bit because I'm learning new things and I'm growing. Also, these values, they happen on different scales. These values, in my mind, they are embedded within one another. So they're infinitely getting smaller, and they're also encompassing one another. So they're infinitely getting bigger. So it's an energetic concept. It's not hard science. Okay, it's something that you feel in your emotions and in your spirit. And then you use that emotion to manifest actual things in the real world. Just like the lighthouse, what does it do? It gives you light. It doesn't give you specific things. You cannot touch light. It just gives you light. It's light energy. So that's how I like to think of values. So let me give you a brief of what I think of king, warrior, magician, lover. King is usually big picture. It's a little bit detached. It's the map. It's kind of like the most important value. It's the encompassing value that you have. Okay. To me, for example, it's life. But then what is life? I have to define what life is to me. Okay. So life has requirements, right? which is the warrior, the magician, and the lover. The warrior, hard work and humor. These resonate with me. And then for the magician, kindness and perspective. These resonate with me. And then I can go even further to define what is kindness to me and define what is perspective to me. And that's just going to help me make more accurate decisions in life. The more I know my values, the more I go through life with ease and with clarity and with certainty. And then for the lover quadrant, health, physical health, everything happens through that. If I'm not healthy, I cannot operate life. I cannot be joyful. I cannot be happy. I cannot be focused. So these are the words that I'm using today. If you ask me next week, they may shift a little bit, but they're always going to be in the same 4 quadrants: king, warrior, magician, lover. So I'll give an example of someone most of us know, Gary Vee. In one of the videos, he mentioned that he just said them off the cuff. He wasn't like, these are my values and they never change. He was like, if you ask me right now on the spot, I'll tell you patience. He said, your word is a bond. He said empathy. And he said grateful, not being spoiled. And he defined them a little bit. He said patience to achieve what you want to achieve. Don't give up after 2 days. Don't give up after whatever. Keep going. Have some patience. Trust the process. So to me, that's the quadrant of the warrior, being persistent. The second thing he said, your word is a bond. If you said you're going to do something, do it. Follow through. If you commit to somebody about something, then do it. To me, that's lover. Lover is about the community, networking. And then his third one was empathy. And to me, that's magician. Magician is the one that deals with emotions. Okay. It also deals with perspective, and perspective determines our emotions. If my perspective that I'm entitled and I want things that I don't have, then I'm going to feel ungrateful emotions. But if my perspective is that I'm so lucky to wake up every day, that's going to determine my emotions. And then his fourth one is to be grateful and not be spoiled, which means to be responsible. And to me, that's king quadrant. That's the one that encompasses everything. To be grateful and to take ownership of your life. Another example. In this meeting, I set out my intentions before. I was like, what are going to be my main intentions in this meeting, making this video? I said to myself, okay, I want it to be fun. I want it to be helpful. And I want my words to be succinct. I don't want to beat around the bush. I want to be effective. I don't want to say a lot of fluff. So fun, helpful, and succinct. Fun, I can call that the lover quadrant. Helpful, I can call that the magician quadrant. Succinct, I can call that the warrior quadrant. And the encompassing value is the king, life. This, to me, this makes a meaningful life. So I'll use another analogy. These are like lenses. Like you have sunglasses. If it's dark shade, if it's black shade, you're going to see everything a little bit blackish. If it's blue shade, you're going to see everything a little bit bluish. So values to me are like lenses. So I'm wearing the king lens, and in front of it, I'm wearing the warrior, in front of it, the magician, in front of it, the lover. So I try my best to always walk around in life with these 3 filters, with these 3 lenses in front of me. In the way I perceive the world, and in the way I act in the world, and the way I position myself within myself, how I feel about myself, and how I see myself. With these 4 lenses, with these 4 values that are under the category of king, warrior, magician, lover. So I say, don't feel like you have to narrow it down to a specific word that you're stuck with for the rest of your life, but understand that you need these 4 quadrants to live a balanced life, to live an unfragmented life, a holistic life, an integral life.
Yes, 100%. The truth cannot be ignored. If you know, you know.
Look at that, spitting fire. I have more examples. Let me just say them because I prepared them. So I'll give a couple of examples of friends. Okay, I'm not going to mention their names, of course, but one person that's very dear to me, the first value is to feel protected. That's in the quadrant of king. The second value is to be master of their craft. That's in the quadrant of the warrior. The third value is they love science and history. That's in the quadrant of the magician. The fourth value is to feel that they belong. That's in the quadrant of the lover. Another dear person to me, they have the same values of king, warrior, magician, lover, but because their life experience is different, they express it differently. So their first value is peace. That's king. Their second value is discipline. Their third value is creativity. That's magician. Their fourth value is honesty. That's lover. Deals with connection. So words differ, but in essence, it's in the same category. We are all very similar.
Discipline is definitely one of yours too. I would say so.
Yeah, I like to call it hard work. And I combine it with humor because if my hard work doesn't have humor, if I don't love it, then I'm not satisfying life. Life is my main value, the king value. So I try my best to make work joyful. And whenever I get so stuck in my ways and work is not joyful, I feel half dead. I always try to find ways to make it joyful and remind myself because I forget. Sometimes I get caught up in workaholic mode. That's the shadow of the warrior. And then when I hit the wall 100 times and my head hurts, I'm like, okay, what's wrong? Oh, I need to change my perspective. The magician needs to be activated a little bit. And I need to take a deep breath, relax, and find ways to enjoy and find ways to measure my progress and celebrate little wins. So the warrior, instead of being stupidly stubborn, more relaxed and healthy, subsequently effective.
Yeah, pop a beer open for that warrior. I have a challenging question for you.
Please.
Can we create values?
I think they are part of our essence already.
Yes, embedded.
So I was listening to Jordan Peterson and he was talking about, I think he was talking about Nietzsche. And he said that when God is dead, humanity will have to reinvent their own values. Otherwise, it will be total mayhem. And psychoanalyst Carl Jung said something different. He said, actually, you cannot create values. They're already within you. You just have to uncover them.
Yeah, and he gave an example, Jordan Peterson as well. He gave an example about when you try to create values and enforce on people, like Hitler and Soviet communists and the North Koreans, right? Millions of people die. So it doesn't work out very well when that happens. So you can never do that.
The way I understand what King, Warrior, Magician, Lover is, so it actually came from the work of Carl Jung, and then subsequently it was picked up by psychoanalyst Robert Moore, and he created the names of the archetypes, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, just because they're ancient and they are in our DNA memory in a way. And the idea is when God manifested himself, when pure love and energy came down to earth, it had to step down into something that the human body can contain, right? Otherwise, we would explode if it didn't step down its frequency. And the way it stepped down its frequency and what we as humans and what our brains can compute, we call it King, Warrior, Magician, Lover energies. So we don't really have a choice. This is kind of like who we are. In theory, of course. But it's very resourceful, right? Whether somebody believes in this kind of intuitive realm or not, it's very resourceful. It's undeniable how resourceful it is. And it's manifested everywhere. You can watch the other video when I speak that even in a company, you have King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, marketing, accounting, people who do the service, and the leaders with the visions. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And when you think that you create or created values, you've just discovered them. They've been there, but you just put them out there into the world.
From the unconscious to the conscious.
From the unconscious to the conscious. Yeah, also something, a very simple method that I heard Jay Shetty talk about. So he says, watch what you're interested in. Where do you spend your money? How do you spend your time? All of that will show you what do you actually value. Like if you decide to say that you're gonna, this is another example from Jordan Peterson, that you're gonna study every day for 5 hours. You set up this unrealistic goal for yourself, and then you end up playing video games every time. It's because it's something led you to that, right? You're unconsciously doing that.
Yeah. So we act out our values whether we are aware of them or not. And here's the thing, like you mentioned, you want to study for 5 hours, but you end up playing video games for 5 hours. Well, that's a shadow quality. That's a perverted value. That's something that you're suppressing and not facing. You have to confront your shadows, confront your fears, confront your emotions. And it's a very difficult thing. It takes actually a lot of knowledge. Some people, I don't think people have it naturally. I think it has to be taught. And without confronting those shadows, even if you recognize your values and you write them down on paper, your body is going to act out the perverted values that you did not resolve and you did not process. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. So, and you mentioned, so Jay Shetty said, watch what you're spending your money on. Let's say I'm spending all my money on alcohol. Is alcohol one of my values? No, it's a
No.
perverted value. I want to enjoy. I want to feel less stress. I want to feel relaxed. And I'm going to alcohol. So there's nothing wrong with trying to feel joy, relaxed, less stress. But because I'm not confronting my fears, because I'm not confronting my emotions and my shadows, the manifestation of it is destructive rather than constructive, or unresourceful rather than resourceful. And the last thing I want to mention, maybe the last thing, when we talked about finding your purpose, we talked about the Ikigai method, the Japanese method of finding your reason for being. And it had what are things that you love, things you're good at, things you can get paid for, and things that people need. So these are king, warrior, magician, lover, and you can categorize it different ways, but things that you love, let's call it magician. Things that you're good at, let's call it warrior. Things that people need, let's call it lover, network, right? It's the community, the tribe. And things you can get paid for, let's call it king. So in order to do anything in life in a balanced, integral way, you need to be somewhere in the vicinity of these four quadrants. Otherwise, you're going to be fragmented, or the project is going to be fragmented and disconnected somehow.
Yes, sir.